Tijjani Reijnders has just fixed Manchester City's attack, or at the very least, he's made them a lot more potent. And in this video, we're going to explain why. We're going to be breaking down his massive involvement in Man City's 4-0 victory over Wolverhampton Wanderers. We're going to be discussing the unique talent that Reijnders possesses that allows Manchester City to play in an entirely new way, why he's so valuable to Pep Guardiola and the style that he wants to keep in this Man City side, and how this all comes together to create a far more potent and dangerous Manchester City. A great illustration of this is for Manchester City's first goal and the pivotal role that Reijnders played. Of course, the plaudits will go to Erling Haaland for scoring the goal and to Rico Lewis for creating the assist, but the build-up to it, I think, is even more important. What we have here is Ruben Dias on the ball currently. Reijnders is going to drop into a deeper position next to Nico Gonzalez, and he's able to do this because of the attacking positioning of Rico Lewis right here and Bernardo Silva right here. It gives Reijnders the freedom of movement to then start to drift into different pockets and different spaces. He receives the ball a little bit later from Aït-Nouri and then is able to spin. Now, due to the defensive actions of the Wolverhampton Wanderers players, he's able to spin and then start to drive towards the defence. Occasionally you'd see him switch the ball over to this right hand side, but he also has the fleetness of foot to be able to drive at his opponent. This has a huge knock-on effect for the way that Manchester City want to go forwards. Finally, they have a player who's able to drive with the ball, who's able to take space with the ball, and it's through this that they really start to pin that Wolverhampton Wanderers side back. Now you have two players here in the middle of the park that are looking to close him down, and occasionally they did manage to in this match. But because of his great fleetness of foot and because of his great pace and ability, he managed to get past both of them. Now, the moment that you do that and the moment you unlock this channel of space, you have a real danger on your hands. And it allows him to drive through in the heart of midfield. This has a huge knock-on effect as well for Rico Lewis, who now has the ability to start to make his run. The moment that he sees Reijnders beat those players, he knows that he's got an opportunity to get that pass. Now, the chip over the top is absolutely fantastic. It's weighted perfectly, it's done brilliantly, and it's under pressure, which is even more impressive. It of course goes to Rico Lewis, who manages to cross the ball in, but the way that Reijnders was able to take the ball from a defensive position, move it forwards, drive it forwards, is something that we haven't seen at Manchester City in such a long time. And for City fans, I think it's incredibly exciting. Tijjani Reijnders offers Manchester City something that no City player has. It's a unique skill set that they haven't had at the club for quite some time, but they did used to have a player with this skill set that they unfortunately let through the door, and the player that I'm talking about is Cole Palmer. And actually, when we look at the way that Pep has utilised Reijnders in this particular game, there are some similarities that we can draw with how he's used Reijnders and how Enzo Maresca has utilised Cole Palmer at Chelsea. So what has Pep done? When we saw Manchester City build up against Wolverhampton Wanderers, what we saw was Rico Lewis moving into midfield. A lot was made about the way that the young right back moved into midfield to create a midfield three. This gave Reijnders a little bit more flexibility, but it also gave him a freer role and an ability to express himself within a more central zone. It allowed him to really showcase the ability and the skill set that he has to offer. And what I'm talking about is the pace that he has. I'm not talking about conventional pace of a winger or an attacker. I'm talking about the speed in which he thinks and the way that he's able to drift across the pitch and almost utilize that pace, utilize that skill set with the rest of his teammates to then push through defensive organization. It also has a knock-on effect for the way that City want to play defensively. Typically, last season, what you saw was a bit of hesitancy creep into Manchester City's game, not willing to take those risks, not willing to try to break down sides with incisive passes. Instead, what you found was a utilization of wingers or fullbacks to create overloads, and this often led to Manchester City being quite vulnerable, especially in those wide areas. Now, we have seen that recently, but in this game in particular, what you had was a bit more more of a defensive solidity with only pushing through one of the fullbacks. This gave Reijnders the ability to drop a little bit deeper, but also give himself the ability to move into different pockets of space. The way he moves with and without the ball is absolutely sensational, but the way that he's able to utilize his mind, his real mental ability to unlock certain passes, to unlock certain moments, was incredibly crucial. We're talking about the first phase of play here, and then moving into that final second phase of the attack, and it's really driven through the great on-the-ball ability of Tijjani Reijnders. I'm talking about the ability when he's got two players looking to go at him. He then is able to break through that. If he's able to break through that, you're then looking for the knock-on effect with the rest of his teammates to be able to move forwards, creating those channels, creating that space, and then really having off-the-ball runs to start to break down that rigid defense. It's through this that they managed to carve through a number of opportunities, but it couldn't have been allowed without the very unique skill set that Tijjani Reijnders offers this Manchester City side. Finally, before we end, let's take a look at one more moment, and it is yet again another pivotal involvement for Tijjani Reijnders. This time it looks a little bit different though, and this lends itself to what I believe Manchester City are going to be looking to do a lot more of this season, and that is look to be a little bit more of a transitional side. And what I mean by that isn't necessarily to say that City aren't going to dominate possession, because they absolutely will, but rather when the teams that are playing against them are giving themselves space, rather than looking to play in the same way, they're going to look to take that space. And you see that really well here. So Wolves have committed themselves into a press because of the situation and the game state that they find themselves in. So instead of City playing through into this almost trap that Wolves have laid, they want to play over the top. And this is where James Trafford comes in as well. It's really important. So he plays the ball over the top towards Reijnders, who's in loads of space. He's marked by a player, but he's in quite a bit of space. And it's through this that they're able to take space and spin Wolves. Now this is really crucial, and I think it's a good advancement from Pep Guardiola and this Manchester City side. But they're able to do it because of the physical capabilities of Reijnders and the players in and around him. We saw this with Haaland quite a bit as well. But he's able to pick up the ball and then drive with it. He carries the ball incredibly well. And again, like I said, he's going to be a huge focal point for Manchester City. They're going to really look for him to start to orchestrate these attacks in so many different ways. Very much how you see Cole Palmer in Chelsea, really looking to be that main driving force. He takes the ball, lays it off towards Oscar Bob, and then drives into the space. This is another key part of that transitional play that I'm talking about. Taking the space that your opponents are affording you because they're looking to really pressurize, and it's the space that is available that's really important that you need to be looking to take. And he does it brilliantly here. He gets the ball back from Oscar Bob, and then what does he do? Does he have a rush of blood? Does he have a huge moment of madness? No, he lays it off towards Haaland with a great reverse pass because he's got fantastic vision, and Haaland obviously finishes. But it's the build-up from Reijnders, it's the movement on and off the ball that just makes him so dangerous. I think he is going to be one of the main reasons that Manchester City are seen as back, or seen as a real driving force in the Premier League yet again. He's a sensational midfielder, and I believe he unlocks and is key to this new look Manchester City that we're seeing under Pep Guardiola. But of course, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below on Reijnders and Manchester City. I'd love to hear from you, so please do get involved. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care.